Hello, YouTube, and everybody in chat. This is your old pal, Nutty. Boy, is it hot here today. Well, I talked to Uncle Mitch, and he's going to take a little break for a bit, probably because he's nuts. But let's start the show anyways with the Nutty dance. Bye. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Well, thank you, Nutty. Watch your step. You don't want to step in a pile of squirrels. And welcome into the show, everybody. I'm CareyHolzman. This is Mitch Morrison joining us. And it is Friday. It's the 9th.
Yeah.
That means Mother's Day is this weekend.
Yeah.
Second Sunday of May is Mother's Day. And say hi to your mom for me. That's my Mark Wahlberg impression. Say hi to mom for me. I'll work on it. How you been?
Good, good. You know, Carey, with this haircut, I look just like some people won't remember the old animation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where this kid was like, I want to be a dentist. You know? So I'm like, all right. I don't.
Let's see if I can find him.
Yeah.
Rudolph
the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Boy. There I am.
Let's see if we can see if I can capture that.
I want to be a dentist. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you do kind of look like that guy.
Yeah, with the flip, the Conan flip is what we'll call it.
Well, that just aged you.
Yeah, that's true.
Dead giveaway.
Yeah, I got to put that on, every Christmas for a little nostalgia. So
my Christmas show that I like to watch every year is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Once a year is just about enough.
Yeah.
It's worth viewing a second time, but not any more than once a year.
You forced me to watch it last year, and I almost gouged my eyes out with a set of spoons, but too graphic. All right.
That's how you know it's a good movie.
Yeah. Okay.
You saw Thunderbolts too, right?
I did.
Yeah, we saw it. We went to the theater and saw that one too.
Yeah. I hadn't been in the theater, and but with the big screens and the Atmos sound.
Oh, they got the nice big leather
seats
chairs
that you can recline.
Electronic recline.
Yeah.
Better than the couches chairs people have in their homes.
But 17 biscuits, bananas, bongos.
I've been paying that.
But I mean, that was well worth.
Hello, everybody joining us into the chat. Let's say hello to those joining us here. So yeah, is that a recommended movie for you, Thunderbolts?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. I agree. Yeah. It was a good movie.
Very enjoyable.
Tony's RC says hello. There's Scott joining us. Darren Gilholm and Eddie Casanova. Tony Aindow saying hello. Peter Laycock. Hey, there he is. Buster says hello, Carey and Mara and Mitch. Everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh, 59 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. I just popped in to say hello, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Right on, Buster. Have a good evening there in Scotland. And let's see, Mara's hanging out in the chat room, our channel administrator. There's Luke Greenia joining us from Vermont. John Lewis says hello from Brazil. Our friend, I don't see him in there, but every time I see John Lewis, I also confuse him with Jason Lewis, who's Planet Cryos. He just posted a new video today, so I'm glad to see that he hasn't completely given up on YouTube, but he just doesn't put all the time in the editing. It's just like, you know what? Close enough. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Shocked to hear me say that, right? Mark Baggett says hello. There's Dan Nilsson in Mortaunt saying hello. Rick Lakes joining us from Minnesota. There's Mark Gaines from Northern Ireland with a 20-pound super chat. Hello, Carey, Mara, and Mitch, and everyone in the chat. Welcome in, Mark. Good to see you. David Graham and 3D Everything, and Ben Laird saying hello. Ben joining us from Scotland as well. Alex Sasso saying hello, along with Doman 2000 and Ron Barnish. I also see, who else do I see? Kurt Schlegel joining us there in the chat. There's Barry Klein saying hello, and David Chandler says hello. Martin Postema joining us, along with Phil Stodd and Michael Lavelle. Elijah 52 Dickens says hello. Gary Tatum saying hello. John Gallagher says hello. My Lapin Silvarage says hello. Welcome in. He says, new member joining for the first time. Well, welcome in.
Yeah.
Malapin? I think that's how it's.
Happy Friday.
Not sure how to pronounce the first name. Samuel Nesson says hello. John Williams and Nick Poverman also joining, along with Steve Mercur. and David Leonard. Patrick Manny. Well, we got a full house today. Look at that. And James Jennings, hello from Iowa. 75 degrees there. I remember 75 degrees. It was just like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Now the AC's on.
Yeah.
So, what are we doing today?
This is an oldie but goodie. I mean, this is sort of, kind of Back to the Future-ish.
Back to the Future?
Were you serious when you said we did this 3 years ago?
Well, let me
couldn't
look
have
it
been
up.
that long,
right?
I mean,
let's take a look. This is the let's see. We'll type in CareyHolzman in YouTube search.
I think you named it like 50s, no, or 60s build or something.
It would be home theater.
Theater.
Probably helps if I spell it right, though. Raijintek, just easily spelled. Okay, so if we take a look here at our search results.
There it is right there.
Let me go over to my window capture. And I see, yeah, this one. Oh, that's us now.
Yeah.
We're gonna, is this then?
Yeah.
This was then. Now it's now. Is it now?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
now
no,
that was
now
then.
When is when?
When is now?
Okay.
Now?
Yeah.
No, now it's then.
Yeah.
All right, so this is it here. This is the...
3 years ago. Jeez, there's Uncle Mitch with a Alan Parsons project.
Let's see, what date is this? Should be a date on here. October 22nd. Oh, that's almost 4 years ago.
2021.
In just a few months, that'll be 4 years.
Jeez.
Oh, we put Mara to work on the camera there too. All right.
Okay.
So that's what we're picking up with today. By the way, I should give that a thumbs up.
Okay.
You guys should do that too, just so it wouldn't kill you. I have no idea what that does. It should tell YouTube you want to see more videos like that.
Yeah.
What I've come to realize, YouTube's algorithm has really changed a lot. If you're clicking on videos and you're not staying on the video very long, that's a thumbs down. I mean, it isn't, but the algorithm treats it like that. But if you click a video and you stay on that video longer, then the algorithm treats that as a thumbs up and starts recommending more videos. So you don't even have to tell YouTube thumbs up and thumbs down anymore. It can figure out by how long you stay on a video whether or not to show you more like that content. So yeah, it's paying attention. It's like when you have a dog and you realize the dog's been watching you. And the dog knows things you never taught it. You're like, oh, this dog has been paying attention. If every time you get up at 4 o'clock to go use the kitchen, go use the refrigerator, that dog will be there waiting at the refrigerator for you.
Yes.
Just like, running a little late today. So, in much that way, YouTube is now sort of paying attention. The video looks a little dark today. You know why? I don't think I turned on my studio light.
You did not.
See what I can do now? I can come over here like this. I can go over here. And you see there's a picture of the studio light.
Okay.
And I just activate it. See the picture in the background?
Oh, yeah. Let there be light.
Isn't
There
that
you
neat?
go.
All right. That looks better.
Much better.
We were getting a little bit of a late start here. And, all right. Very good. Let me close that. Let me close that. Let me close that. So, this has been sitting for a while. It suffered the move over from B to C. And I fired it up last night, and the fan sounds like something's wrong with it. It's kind of loud.
Okay.
It also had Windows 10 on it, and it wouldn't let me put Windows 11 on it. So I checked for a new BIOS, so there was a new BIOS.
Okay.
Put the BIOS on it, then wiped it clean and put on Windows 11, and did the update. So at this point, our work should be cut out for us today. The this bag contains, there's some support brackets and such that I was debating whether or not to put back in there for like a liquid cooler, radiator support, stuff like that. By the way, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had anybody give you a bag like this and it's, say it's super tight like that? How would you get that undone?
With a knife. Just cut it.
What if you want to reuse the bag though? If you want to preserve the bag?
There's got to be some trick that I don't know, whether you wet it and then it loosens up, or what's the secret to that?
Well, I mean, in theory, I don't know, this is live and unscripted.
Okay.
But in theory, if you take these ends and you twist them up, make it really tight,
Okay.
on both sides.
Yeah.
Right? So now they're really tight.
Yeah.
And then push one towards the other. And again, you might have to make it super tight. Then it should just pull right out of there. And then there's no damage to the bag.
Learn something new every day.
Little tip from your Uncle
Carey.
I guess I'm kind of weird if I was your uncle.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see, we've got the screws are in here. Look how well I put all this away. For some reason, I have no idea why this is in here. This is a power strip. Well, why is that in the bag? It does not belong in there. That is
jumped in by itself. It's a pretty nice one. White.
I bought it for some reason that I can't remember anymore. So that does not belong. I only have like 40 power strips around here, so that's like needing an extra hole in my head. Oh, this is the PCIe riser. That's because a video card would have to fit in here sideways. You couldn't put a video card in
the vertical.
In the vertical because obviously the case is too thin.
Yeah.
But we're just using onboard video. So that is why that piece is still new in the bag. And let me get rid of that. This is the box for the ADATA XPG 2 terabyte Gen 3 drive that we put in there. This is Amazon renewed. What did I buy that was renewed? That's garbage. Whatever it is, I guess it's working. This is for a cooler. Typically a liquid cooler. We didn't put a liquid cooler in.
No, I don't. I thought it was a low profile fan.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So what's this for?
We'll know when we open it up.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. And then these are the brackets that would be used. You know, they go this way. I didn't put those back on. And these are the extra modular power supply kit. You know, in theory, I don't even think I need this bag. There's not that much stuff left over. I do see that we used a mini ITX board, and I guess there's no room to put the cables. Certainly these long bars, and then our little bag of, what do you call it, a little organizer, which has some zip ties and screws in there. All right, and I'll just set this right.
3D. Okay.
Oh, that was a terrible throw. Let me get back over to the chat room. And what are they saying? They making fun of us in there? What happened to clap on, clap off? Well, then the lights flicker because of all the applause I get. You know, I have epilepsy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You never had one of those growing up, did you? In your house? The clap on, clap off?
Yeah, I was it. My father would go, turn on the TV, change the channel.
Yeah, chop, chop. Yeah.
Let's see. David Martinez joins us and says hello. Welcome in. I'm just trying to see what we've missed here. I just see a lot of everybody saying hello to each other, which I love to see. Steve Mercure said Uncle Mitch is the eye in the sky looking at you. He can cheat you blind.
Little Alan Parsons reference there.
With a Toto shirt.
Yes. Since Alan's my second favorite band.
Did you tell him that? You're my second
favorite.
Hit the bricks, kid.
And he said, I always knew I was number 2.
Somehow I don't think he said that.
Sorry, but Toto's my number 1.
All right, well, let's see what we got under the hood here.
Okay. Did you want to show them this? This is what we...
Well, that's the board we use. That's a MSI B450i Gaming Plus AC. So that's a 450 chipset. Of course, now we're up to what, 8 something.
That was a reuse.
Oh, that was Amazon warehouse.
Oh. That's why you got the thing in there.
Oh. What's in here? Case documentation, a EVGA for the power supply. No, EVGA for the cooling. It says it's an EVGA closed loop liquid cooler.
Okay.
I don't remember putting that in there.
No wonder.
I mean, it's been 3 years. There's some
3. You said almost 4.
Almost 4 years.
Yeah. No wonder it's making noise. the fluid's
Yeah,
like
it's just been-
like Jello.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that may be. I mean, it's not good to have a liquid cooler just sit like that.
And then what do we got here? We got a AMD Ryzen 7. If you can read this, you're too close. No, that's an AMD Ryzen 7 5700G.
Yeah.
With Radeon graphics.
Yeah, that's built in.
Is their processor, so that you know.
Some people roll their eyes at, you know, oh, the system's old. Let me tell you, I worked on this last night. This thing boots up in the blink of an eye. I mean, I just don't like the fan noise. Well, you want to slide the lid up? I think it slides.
It this way or this way?
I don't know. See, so it's got to go forward or back first, I think. No? Does it go straight up? All right, well, there you go. Oh, we do have a liquid cooler in there. I'll take it. Yeah, that's exactly what's in there. I don't remember putting it in, but, you know, I don't recommend the liquid coolers from EVGA. I never have.
Let me test its pulse. Nothing.
Yeah, well, it's
oh, it's not on. Okay.
It's sleeping right now.
Okay.
But as you can see from inside of this case design, this area here is the motherboard. This area here is reserved for a cooler. This area here is reserved for a video card to lay flat. And then, of course, we've got our power supply. And as you recall, our cable from the power supply wasn't long enough, and we had to get an extension to run the extension, because this is a very long, narrow case. It doesn't fit any standard. This little box here would be for 3.5-inch drives if you wanted to use them, or 2.5-inch drives. And then right down here is more room for more drives down there. It's a very unique, even the power supply is a bit different it's a small form factor power supply. And it has 3 slots in the back for up to a 3-slot wide GPU. So overall, I mean, I don't know why anybody would want a GPU in this thing as a home theater PC. As a gaming PC, yes. No RGB. And well, yeah, let's fire it up and let's see which fan is making noise. Maybe we just need to replace a couple fans. I don't think we're having any issues with the cooler itself, but you know what? I didn't check it. It didn't overheat on me.
Yeah. So
I just assumed everything's fine. But yeah, let's get some things plugged in here. Let me grab down here on the floor.
And this motherboard does not have room for an NVMe? It's 4 years old, so.
Well, the ADATA is a 2 terabyte Gen 3 NVMe we put in there.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, it's got NVMe. We'd have to go back over 10 years for that to be to not have NVMe. Now I don't know how many it'll hold. Certainly we've got one in there.
Yeah.
That board may just hold one, or it could be 2 or 3. I don't know. I can't remember. We'd have to look that board up. Yeah, see there, I think maybe if it's not under there, maybe on the other side of the board. But yeah, this does have a 2 terabyte Gen 3 NVMe. So this is HDMI. I'll plug that in. Then I'm going to grab the keyboard and mouse from behind you here. We'll grab that. And I'll just precariously set that there. What could go wrong?
Yes.
There you go. Figure out which way that goes in. We've got power, and we turn the mouse and the keyboard on. You got the fire extinguisher. If you reach around that side, can you feel the power button up there?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, go right ahead. All right. I hear the humming of the fans, but it's not as loud as it was last night when I was firing it up. Let's jump over to the window capture. No, that's not the one I want. I want it's not window capture. I renamed everything. I think it's HDMI 3 is what I want. Oh, it's already booted to the desk. See what I mean? Like, it's fast.
Fast.
Let's do this. Since we didn't get a chance to see how fast it booted, let's go down here and do a restart and see what it does. It does have like a hum. That's what it sounds like. And I think it's the EVGA fans. I don't think it's the pump. Do you feel a pulse on there now?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So likely the pump is fine. And then the Elgato no signal means the desktop's about to come up, and it pops right up. I don't know if anybody timed that whole process, but I think it's pretty damn quick for a machine that's almost 4 years old. Right click on the start button here. Let's take a look at our specs. Under system, we have...
Under the hood we go. Oh, 32 gig of RAM.
Yeah, there's our processor. There's 32 gigs of RAM, Windows 11 Pro. If we look under MS Info, we'll make sure Secure Boot is on.
And did you have any question marks on your device manager?
Oh, let's check that too. Let's see. Where's Secure Boot?
Uncle Mitchy's smart on kind of.
Secure Boot is on.
Okay.
And then let's go check our device manager. So once again, over to the start menu, we'll right click. Device manager. Oh, we got something in there, doesn't like. Oh, I think I know what that is. I think that's our cooler, our CPU cooler. I bet you that right there,
okay,
whatever that's called, the text is too small.
Yeah,
I must be in 4K mode because it's not okay. It's 4K.
Yeah. Go ahead and put it in Braille. Okay.
Display settings.
Okay. Much better. All right. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm going to need one of those phones with a big dial button. Okay, what does that say? 690 L 600 690 LC. So I think if we look at,
got to go into BIOS.
If we look at the cables coming off of here, one of these goes to power. Where does this one go? That one goes to fans. Oh, maybe there is nothing plugged into you. Wait a minute. There is. Yeah, the pump. See this cable right here?
Okay.
That cable runs. Yeah, it's got to be this pump. Come on now, Stubby. How many times have I told you not to do that?
I was moving a wire.
So I have a couple choices with this. One is I can put a different cooler in it that does not plug into USB, so we don't have any third-party software. That's to control the RGB and monitor the pump speed, which we can't see on this case anyway. Two, we could put in one that has quieter fans, which would be anything from Corsair and ZXT, maybe even a Thermalright might be a good solution for this. 5700 doesn't really require liquid cooling. We just did it because of how flat the case is.
Right.
We can't put a really tall cooler in there. But I don't know why I ended up with this EVGA. There's probably a story behind it, but you can see it lights up. You can kind of see right there. Yeah. It's changing color. It's turning orange and yellow. But I don't like the sound of the fans. Now I do believe our temps are fine. And the whole right side of it, my right, your left, this is all empty save for the power supply.
But you think you have a fan low profile enough that would, not hit the...
Well, I'll tell you why I don't want to use it. If you think about how big this case is, right? If we're going to leave this empty, since we're not putting a graphics card in it, but the power supply still has to go over here. If I take out this and just replace, basically, we've got this little tiny motherboard and all of this space is all open.
Right.
So for that reason, and it's maybe a stupid reason, but I want to fill that space. So I'll put another liquid cooler in there.
Oh.
Or I could simply be lazy about it and just put a couple Noctua fans in there and be done with it, which is super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I'm still going to get that error in the device manager, which I can solve by unplugging the USB and losing control of the pump and the details of the RPM of the pump and status. So then if I just change the pump altogether with a different pump, like I'm thinking Thermalright has a very inexpensive. Yeah, for some reason, these fans seem quieter today than they did last night, but maybe...
And with the top on it, but again, if you were putting this in your home theater, you are in agreement. You would want fans as quiet. This seems a little noisy to me if you had it behind you sitting on a doodad, a shelf or whatever, you're like, what's that hum?
Yeah, it was definitely, it had a louder hum than a normal PC. So I figured it was the cooler. I forgot I put a liquid cooler in here though. So as far as the cooler goes, I don't think there's anything wrong with the pump.
No.
But I've certainly heard better fans in my life. And EVGA is not exactly known for their fans.
Okay.
Now we know why.
Yeah.
David Graham with a $2 super chat said, when was the last time you used the media computer? Well, last night I fired it up. Like I said, it still had Windows 10 on it. And I don't even think it was booting in UEFI mode. I think I had the BIOS. Yeah. I had the TPM turned off because 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't want Windows 11 to sneak on there.
Then nothing was living in the case when you.
I tried to. I tried to just no.
Luckily,
we're pretty pest free here, except for one I can't seem to get rid of.
Yeah,
but
with the initials MM.
What was I talking about?
I don't know. Critters in here.
Yeah. Oh no, Windows 10.
Yeah.
So I was going to do the upgrade to Windows 11. So I said, you know what? I'll just wipe it clean, right? So I start doing the Windows 11 upgrade, and it says this computer doesn't qualify for Windows 11. So I go in the BIOS, I set it back to default values.
Okay.
That's how old this BIOS was. And even then it said it doesn't qualify. TPM was disabled by default.
Okay.
So then I enabled TPM, and then it came back and it crashed during the Windows 11 install.
Oh boy.
And I said, let me see if there's a new BIOS. Now, I can't remember what BIOS version I had, but I put up the latest BIOS on this MSI Gaming Plus AC B450i motherboard. Put that on a flash drive, updated the BIOS, reset to defaults, reinstall Windows 11's been perfect ever since. I was going to check to see if we have 3 partitions or 4 on the drive, because that tells me if I'm in legacy or UEFI mode. I think that's what it does. Let's jump back over to the desktop right quick. See, I've been configuring this a little differently. See how I can do that now?
Oh.
So instead of having to use the mouse. Anyway, I still have to use the mouse, but I'm working on it, slowly but surely breaking in some new features of pre-existing features that are new to me, I should say. This was the crystal disk mark on this drive. I just wanted to verify it was Gen 3, and I mean that's fast for a Gen 3.
Okay.
3700 is crazy fast, and it's a 2 terabyte drive. And I'm going to go into disk management. So DIS. I suppose I could right-click on the start menu and do it that way too, but let's see. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, I only see 3 partitions. 1, 2, 3. It says partition 4 though. So where's the?
You broke it.
Well, so normally when I run Windows 11, in fact, let me grab a Windows 11 here just to satisfy my curiosity. Right here, and then I'm going to plug Windows 11 in over here. And then what I'll do is we'll do a
clean.
I'm not going to reinstall it. What I want to do is go through the process where it shows me, it says, hey, where do you want to install this?
Gotcha.
And I want to see how many partitions are on disk 0. This may be the hard way. There's probably an easier way for me to do this, but I'm going to just stick with what I know rather than try and learn something new, with the idea being this will be ultimately faster, even though it may be a longer way about it. It's not something I normally have to do, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll hit delete over and over again until we get in the BIOS, and then we're going to switch over to here to save and exit. And we're going to boot right here off of the SanDisk, and then that's going to start the Windows 11 setup. Now, it doesn't actually make any changes to our drive until we start deleting partitions. So we can run this without worrying about losing anything. So just go through the standard questions here. And at this point, it's just collecting configuration data. Like, what is it you want to do? I'm going to say I don't have a product key for right now. And then it's going to take a look at system config, and we're going to put Windows 11 Pro. None of this really matters for what we're trying to do here. I just want to get past all this so I can see the available target drives, and then I can verify that disk 0 has 4 partitions. So we'll find out here in just a moment as it searches for qualifying disks, and disk 0 has 1, 2, 3, 4, and in this 5th one, that's just unallocated space. That tells me that we have installed Windows 11 correctly, that we're in UEFI mode. So at this point now, all I'm going to do is hit the power switch on the back of the power supply, take out the flash drive, turn the switch on the power supply back on. Yeah, go ahead and turn the machine back on for me if you would there, Mitch. And you'll see we haven't modified or changed anything. We didn't cause any harm or write any data to the storage drive. And that's just a quick way that I have for well, to me, to just verify if I'm suspicious of being, usually this boot screen also can identify. I just don't have all that memorized. I'm sure someone in the chat is probably shouting at the screen right now, but that's a pretty fast boot time,
Yeah.
right? All right, so let me go back over to, let's go Control 1. And Gary Tatum mentions a disk list disk would work. Yeah, I kind of figured you could probably go into disk-part and do it that way. It occurred to me, and then I thought, I don't know what the command is besides list the disk. How you see the partitions. There's a command for that, though. Jim KJ3N said there's nothing wrong with a B450 board. The system I built for my wife's on a B450, and it'll get upgraded from a 3400G to a 5700G later this year, and that'll be part of her transition from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Channel Zero said, isn't there a CareyHolzman forum? I've got a very long story to tell. Yeah, please do join us at the forum. The forum, let's go back over to our window capture here. And we'll just go right up to the top. And by the way, there's a link for this in the video notes. Just type in CareyHolzman.boards.net, enter, and go into the general discussion. And there you go. Create a new thread, tell us your story, or join us and say hello. Let us know where you watch us from, how you found us. And it's a way for the community to engage with each other and myself and Mara when we're not live. Okay? This is open 24/7. It's completely cost-free. And again, link is in the video description below the video. Let me jump back over to our chat room. Okay. Malapin Selvaraj contributes $25. Thank you, Malapin. And if I am mispronouncing your name, please put it phonetically in the chat room. Parker Morse says hello. There's MX saying hello. He says it's showtime. Bull Terrier Max says hello. Eugene Hildago says hello. Marsman50 joining us. Ray Burke says hello. Okay, Shamim Kajviras joining us. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. How's your Friday?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Next Friday, Carey knows this, but Chad, next Friday, your Uncle Mitch goes to Hollywood, Los Angeles, and
Mr. Big Shot.
Mr. Big Shot, and then not tomorrow, but next Saturday, I will film a scene in a hospital room where I'm playing a father, and I'm coming into the room to say goodbye to my unconscious 8-year-old daughter. So of course it's a comedy. No, it's a very dramatic monologue, and yeah, was able to pick a little actress, and yeah, she understands she has to remain very still, very quiet. So while I spill my guts, and I will certainly share it with you once it gets edited, and that'll be a real tearjerker. So normally I drive to LA, but I will fly this time instead. So there you go. Yeah, another clip from your Uncle Mitch.
Flex his acting chops.
Yes, for you that are new, you certainly can see your Uncle Mitch. Just go to IMDb, Internet Movie Database, imdb.com, type Mitch Morrison, and you'll see some of my acting clips. Very professional. So
actually are.
So
that's not sarcasm.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's why he goes to Hollywood to do them. Doesn't have me film it.
Yeah. So couple of talent managers said, if you can pull this one off, Carey knows I can cry on cue, which few actors can do, but they're telling me, do everything you can not to cry for this scene, and let the viewer cry. And I'm like, I can just get just about there and pull back the tear. So I'm like, okay, we'll do it a couple of different ways, but if I get up to say goodbye, truly say goodbye, and give her a kiss on the forehead, I'm like, that's my close-up. Would you like the tear out of the left eye or the right eye? And the director's going to go, you can't do that. And I'll go, I'll bet you $100, and I'll even let him pick the eye. That's impossible. I said, no, that's acting. All right.
I'm trying to think of something funny to say, but I got nothing.
Okay, yeah.
David Graham contributed $2 earlier. I missed that.
Oh,
he said he also enjoyed the Thunderbolts movie. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Katrina H. joins us and says hello. There's Orlando joining us and saying hello, along with John Rogers. So we still have more and more folks popping in to our chat room. Archie46 saying hello in there. And so I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do here. Do I want to change the cooler, or do I simply want to change the fan?
Do you have a couple of 120 Noctuas? Because I don't see anything wrong with this cooler. It seems to me to be working fine, but
well, my thought was, because I have to put the EVGA software on to get rid of that device manager thing.
Oh.
Which isn't, that big of a deal. It just means that every single time there's an update, it's one more thing to update. For RGB, you can't even see it to begin with.
And what size cooler is this? A 240? I get confused. 360, 240, 140. What size?
If you have two 120 millimeter fans, 120 plus 120, and if you have,
I can't carry that, all 11 fingers.
And then that's not
okay.
And then if you do two 140 millimeter fans,
okay,
then you'd be at 280.
All right.
To go to 300s, you'd need 3 fans. So 3 times 120 or 3 times 140.
So you have a 240 in inventory someplace here? I mean,
let me go take a look.
Okay.
Do I have one, or what I want to? No. I was thinking of getting one of those thermal rights. I know I don't have one because I don't have any excuse to buy it until now. But for what I have in inventory.
All right. And why Carey looks, so after I shoot that next Saturday, chat, then I will get on a plane Sunday and go up to Colorado to spend some quality time with my brother. And we are going down to Texas to a big lake. He's got a boat down there, and I don't wakeboard, and he doesn't have regular water, your standard water skis, which I would do. I haven't been up on a pair in years, but because I'm a pretty good snow skier, I would imagine it wouldn't be that tough. It's not like I've never been on water skis. I mean, I have, but I don't know. But the temperature of the lake ought to be great. Spend some family time. So looking forward to getting out of this nasty Phoenix heat. So
I found something that's a little dusty over here.
Okay.
And
we'll give it a blow. Know what I mean? So wipe it.
Wipe it. I'll let you do that. All right. So this is the.
Okay. Here we go.
There we go. Let me hand this over to you.
Okay.
Don't mind the dust. Yeah. The Arctic. The Arctic Freezer 240.
Okay.
What I'm curious about is what size cooler is that? A 240 or a 280? It's probably a 240.
Pretty heavy.
It's probably all packing materials. So, I mean, we could put that in, or I could order a thermal right just because I'm really curious about thermal rates. The thing about the thermal rates that kills me is how cheap they are. So if I just go over to Amazon, for example, in fact, let's just use this machine just to keep life a little easier. Let's come over here.
Channel 0. Hey, Mitch, what's in your drink? Coke, a cola. All right.
With what else?
Yeah,
What's your mixer?
Yeah. Nothing. I'm not a mixed drink guy. A lot of guys, I don't know. Growing up in Michigan, like Uncle Carey, you have your first beer and when you're
13,
when you're 8, and it tastes awful, but eventually you get used to it. And I don't know. I'm just a Blue Moon guy. occasionally Pacifico or Corona, but if they have Blue Moon with that beautiful slice of orange, that's your Uncle Mitch's beer of choice. So yeah, and no shots, no tequila, no gin, cold gin, kiss, and
Yeah, 46 bucks.
Jeez,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
I mean, that's no RGB. It's pretty plain Jane.
One owner, low miles? No?
Yeah, no owner.
Oh,
No
okay,
miles.
no miles.
And you can get it tomorrow.
Okay.
Look at that. I mean, I couldn't pack it and ship it for 40.
And what do you call those weird shaped blades? You know, those are different than. Does that do more airy? You know, I'm trying to talk technical to you.
If you look at the fans that we have now,
right.
We have fewer blades that are wider.
Okay.
Does
that scoop more air to push it? Are you pulling it through the radiator or pushing it through with those?
With these here, they're going to be pushing through. But they do have what's called reverse blade fans. And the reverse blade fans would have the fans facing the other way, and they would be pulling air through. Or you could simply turn the fans around, especially when there's no RGB involved. Who cares? But I mean, I could just order one of these because I think it looks better than the.
Yeah.
Because what do we have here? We have the Arctic Freezer liquid freezer 240.
Yeah, look that baby up.
Let's see how much that costs.
$100.
Liquid. The Arctic is usually pretty cheap. Liquid freezer
240.
240.
A 3240.
That would be a very big.
Very big, yeah.
That would fit in your Cadillac. Okay, so if we want to look for one that does not have any RGB, quite a bit. Well, that's a liquid freezer 3. This maybe they don't make the
anymore. Liquid freezer 240.
And there's that's thermal, right? That one's got some RGB.
You could maybe go to their website. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't order it from their website. There's a 280, but see, that's RGB. I want no RGB, and if I'm looking at the liquid freezer 2, one thing you could do is you could go to their store. You know where it says buy Arctic.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And then see what they're if that clicks, it doesn't. I don't think they have a store. Look how much a Kraken is. Look how much more NZXT charges. It's twice the price. 3 times the price of the Thermalright.
So with or without the tariff? Just kidding. All right.
That's without.
Oh, that's without. Okay.
That's without.
Oh, that's without. Okay. Just wondering.
Of course, your Nautilus, even that's $90. That's twice the price of the Thermalright. Okay. Remember, this Thermalright at 48 is a few dollars more because it has RGB. If we don't want the RGB, why are we paying? Right. Here's the Be Quiet that only has RGB around the edges of the pump. That's $95. That's crazy. Actually, the Be Quiet puts the pump in line with the hoses, which I'm not a fan of the look of that. Okay. They don't have any pictures of it. I have to just kind of, it's right back here, this box. See how the hoses go into this box? Yeah. And then there's hoses coming out of that box. And then this sits on top of the CPU. That's how they get around the Asetek royalty requirement. Gotcha. Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're out of luck on the Liquid Freezer 240. It appears it's no longer made. It's been sitting on the shelf a while, maybe 4 years. Or maybe I bought it because it was a closeout. That could have been it. It was so cheap. I said, oh, I'll use it someday for something. And that day is today. Let's see if we just do a Google search for Liquid Freezer 240. I just like to type 4 digits in there. Now, somehow I got Liquid Freezer 3. I want 2. And currently unavailable. That's it right there. Okay. So I don't know what I paid for it. Reviews are pretty good. I'm not a big fan of that pump design.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything because I haven't used it. It's just my initial reaction is it's ugly. But yeah, if we take a look here, it's just a funky looking, weird ramped up hoses coming out of the top. Although this EVGA, the hoses come out of the top, which kind of bugs me. I kind of wish the hoses came out of the side. But I don't suppose that really matters.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, though, when we look back at the thermal right, for $45, the hoses come out of the side or the top? They come out the side.
See.
Which I think would put the hoses, if I'm not mistaken, right next to the radiator on this build. See how it's got the 2 screws on the...
Yeah.
The pump we're using has 4 screws on it, just like an Intel. But that's how EVGA designed their mounting for the AMD system. A lot of the mounting for AMD systems use just 2 screws. That means it only goes in one way or the other. You can't have 4 directions like you can with the EVGA, theoretically. Well, no, EVGA would prevent that because on AMD, the screws are wider on one side than the other. So you're still limited to 2 directions on that, too. That's why the EVGA logo is sideways. And why I accepted that is okay, since there's no window on this, you'll never see it.
There's a case I would just swap out the fans myself. But
this makes more sense because I think the thermal right logo would face the front of the case like it should, but nobody's going to see it but me. Yeah. And the hoses would come out towards the radiator, so I don't have to drag the hoses across the top of the case. But they're not causing any problem. It's just a preference of a cleaner install, in my opinion, for whatever that's worth. I don't even think people should have opinions. That's my opinion.
Case closed. Yeah.
All right, let me take a look here in the chat and see what we got going on. Channel 0 says, I'm in Australia, so when I say I thought it was iced tea, I meant tea, water, sugar, and flavor. I've got this idea that iced tea in America is alcoholic. Don't know if that's true. We do have something called a Long Island iced tea.
Yeah.
That's an alcoholic drink. Then we have something called an Arnold Palmer, where you mix lemonade and iced tea together.
Andy Kane, Mitch, try a shot of whiskey. Not in this lifetime. Yuck.
We've got, I feel the same. I'm not a whiskey. It's a good way to ruin a Coke. Yeah. Jack Daniels and a Coke. A terrible way to ruin a Coke. But yeah, so what was I talking about? So Long Island iced tea is the alcoholic drink.
Right. Because there's 5 different.
And then we have a Shirley Temple, which would be like if you brought your kids to a restaurant and everybody was having drinks and you wanted your kid to feel like they were having a drink. Yeah. Shirley Temple's a sweetened.
Yeah. Because I always remembered they topped it with a Mascazino's cherry.
Yeah, that's right. Called a Shirley Temple, so it's no alcohol in there.
Yeah.
But now, of course, there's sweetened tea, unsweetened tea. And when you have Coca-Cola in a clear cup like that with ice, it does look like tea, especially as the ice melts. And the darkness of the Coke starts to be diluted by the water. It becomes brown and can even start tasting almost tea-like, in my opinion.
Occasionally, I'll have a black and tan, which is half Guinness, half Bass, and that's
no tea.
That's no tea. But I mean, the flavor of full Guinness, I'm not a fan. Something about the flavor, just.
I don't mind Guinness.
I mean, that's more of a sipping beer versus.
Every beer for me is a
sipping beer versus a gulping. So
you're grabbing the funnel.
Yeah. It's a word, gulping. A gulping.
Nick J says, question for Carey. I understand the history of A, B, and then C drives, A and B being the floppies. But why do we seem stuck with it now? Backwards compatibility. So in the world of Apple, they can just say, we're not being compatible anymore, so you have to move forward whether you like it or not. The world of Microsoft and IBM compatible PCs, as we used to call them, there are, you know, considerably more of those computers in the world in countries you probably never even heard of. And they might be lagging behind in the latest technology. So for that reason, it's very important in the PC world, in the Windows world, to maintain a backwards compatibility. That's why the socket AM4 lasts as long as it did. AMD decided to hold back their innovation, which I think is a big mistake. Big mistake. Error in judgment. For years, AMD held back their innovation in order to keep that AM4 compatibility. Intel, on the other hand, they like to switch out their socket as needed to meet the latest innovation in technology and processor performance and enhancements. So Intel will only keep a socket about 3 years, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's just the philosophy behind the people running the company where they see value. If you see value in being held back, you definitely want a Windows computer. If you want to always be moving forward, you want an Apple computer. And if you like to just do everything on your own and decide how fast forward or slow you want to go, then you want Linux, right? And you have 100% control. So I don't know that one answer is right and one answer is wrong, but I can tell you that A and B are reserved for floppy disks to this very day. There are still people that use floppy disks. You can go on Amazon and buy a floppy disk drive. Oh, Mitch, you know what I got? You know what I got coming? Check this out.
A new personality? No?
Hey, let's be reasonable. Stay in reality.
Okay. The plane, boss. The plane.
Let me go over to the window capture. I'll show everybody what we're doing over here. Capture.
Is it exciting?
Well, you tell me.
Is it bigger than a bread box?
Silverstone came out with an April Fool's joke that everybody loves so much, the FLP01, that
They're
they
gonna
decided
do it?
they're making it. It's called the FLP01.
Oh.
It's a retro-inspired home theater PC chassis.
Okay.
Now, they've always made this chassis. It's
Right.
just that they put a different face on it.
Right.
So that first floppy drive, that's a regular 5 1/4 inch bay. If you want to put a DVD drive, that pops out.
Okay. Yeah.
This bottom one, you push on it, it folds open, and your USB plugs are back.
Oh,
behind
nice,
there,
yeah.
like your sound plug.
Yeah.
But this is essentially the same case as their regular HTPC case.
Okay.
But they made it look like, you know, kind of
Yeah.
old school. So I've got one of these coming in maybe next week. And, you know, very similar to this Raijintek in that it's designed as a home theater PC. But
Right.
the idea is that from the outside, it looks old.
Yeah.
But on the inside, it's all new parts. Everything's compatible with today's
So
stuff.
you gonna build something in it?
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got a,
Right.
this thing will hold a full-size ATX motherboard.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
if you look
yeah.
on the inside of it, let's go back to those pictures.
Oh yeah.
See how many?
Yeah.
See how many slots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 slots means it'll take a full ATX.
Okay.
4 or 5 means it will be mid MATX. And if it only had 2 or 3, that would be mini ITX.
And you think there'd be room in there for a full graphics card? You could put.
Well,
in
that's what this slot up here is
It's
for.
for.
I think that's what. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They even have a card that you can convert from an internal USB header on the motherboard to 2 serial connectors.
Okay.
So if you had like an old serial printer or old serial devices, like if you really needed retro,
Right.
but I want to keep it modern on the inside. But yeah, you can put either mini ATX, micro ATX, or full ATX in here. And I have a couple spare boards. I've got a micro ATX and a full ATX over there.
Okay.
I don't know which one I'll use yet because I've got another case coming in today. I was hoping it would come in for you and I to do it today, but it's the Leon Lee. Actually, let's just go back to Amazon. And it's the Leon Lee 217 digital. Now, here's what gets me about this case, which is not appearing. I think I need to put a space. That made a difference. So check this case out. It's $110, which includes the screen down here.
Okay.
So it's a familiar design. We've worked with Leon Lee. We've worked in Leon Lee cases before. And we've worked with cases that have the screen up on top. And normally that screen adds about $30. So for $110, and this just came out, it'll be here Well, it might even interrupt us during today's video. But I've got a couple motherboards. I think I have 4 motherboards waiting for homes. And I think between the Silverstone case and the Leon Lee case, that'll get rid of 2 more boards. And they do have it in white. The thing for me, sorry, there's a bunch of cases here. The 207, oh, it's a 207, not a 217. That's why it didn't come up. Yeah. Then there's the 207 without the screen, and then the 207 in white. There's the 216 with no RGB, and with RGB. And
no, I like the screen myself.
Let's see, is there a white version with the screen? I'm not seeing it. So maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe it is just black. Anyway, I think $110 is a steal. And again, if you count those slots back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there should be 7. But 6 or 7, that would be full ATX. What does it say? It says ATX. So unless it specifies MATX or ITX, then that would dictate to me which of the boards, because I do have a micro ATX. But if that'll fit a full size, which I believe it does, you typically have 7 slots. I don't know why I'm only counting 6. But that being said, that's what's coming up whenever the parts arrive. And I was hoping, you know, if I would have just ordered this a day earlier, if I had the idea a day earlier, we'd have it yesterday. And that's what you and I would be doing today.
And Chad, Uncle Carey built me just the cutest little Liam Lee. It was silver. I think they called it a T100. Just a little guy with a handle on it. It's great for, not that I'm doing LAN parties or whatever, but it sits very nice on the desk, and it comes with its own handle on it, and I really like it.
Yeah, we've got that video up here.
Yeah. I thought it was a T100 or something like that.
T100, let's do a search.
Let me have a shot of my cranky juice. All right.
You want another Coke to top off in there? I don't know where it went. It was a Leon Lee. Yeah. So that case went to my friend in Illinois, and then it came back for something, and then it came back again, and we decided to switch it out.
Yeah.
And Mitch is like, what are you going to do with that case?
I like that case. I could have sworn it was a little T100 or something
it could be. Yeah. It could be. Let me do a different kind of a search. T100. Does that pull it up?
It had to be in the Leon Lee, right? I mean, I'm almost sure that wasn't any other manufacturer. Portable with a handle.
TU150, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
TU150. That sounds about right. But yours has a floppy drive on it, right? So maybe it's a TU100. Maybe I'll meet you in the middle on that. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so then the question is, do we have our video? Because these are from other people.
Yeah.
And that's from how long ago? 10 years ago.
Yeah.
These videos that are building in this back when it was new. Oddly enough, my videos
doesn't come up, but yeah. Again, the only thing I wish is, like you said, the drive is black versus silver, so it would, maintain. But a little thing like that doesn't bother me. So
why am I?
Why do
I have the wrong screen up here? Oh, wait a minute.
Switch cameras.
Turn that off. Let me turn that off. I think I have a different Chrome open. Try that. So there's a YouTube video with that case.
Yeah.
This one right here.
Oh, isn't that nice? I like it.
Yeah. So that's
right on my desk. Yeah.
You're now the second owner. Yeah.
Mitch,
I remember. I built in that 3 times. So
Mitchy likey. Very nice and cute with the handle.
What a shame this guy's only got 116 subscribers and 16,000 views from 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's just portable. You stick it in the car, and so I'm like...
I'm curious if this guy's still making videos. When's his last video? 2 years ago.
I gave up the ghost.
Wow, what a shame.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of that.
And on that positive note, all right.
What are you going to do?
What do you?
Not everybody has an amazing community that can keep them around, because without their community here, we...
TU100, I got to remember that.
AC's drafting. There's AA Ron.
Okay.
He says, I don't think you appreciate how old the computer is. Oh, he's responding to me. Let's see.
And I think it's a Ryzen maybe 5. I don't know, think it's a 7. I think you said that would have been too powerful of a chip.
Oh, to cool it. It would be challenging.
Yeah, challenging. So you're like, let's do a 5. I'm like, 5 works for me.
And does your Word in Excel open any faster now?
No.
No, I just mean, you know, what are you doing with it?
Right.
What do you use that computer for?
I'd rather not say. All right.
Is that happening any faster?
No.
Okay. What can you do?
Yeah. It's a kid-friendly show. All right. No. It's on a desk in my bedroom, and it's like you said, it's Microsoft Office and Word and Chrome browser. I like it. You know, I threw DaVinci Resolve on it, but I do that in my main machine anyway. So I'm like, but hate loose cables.
This looks like, oh, it's a USB Type C, is it?
Going to the outside.
Yeah. Does it have a little Type C up front? I guess it must. And this motherboard must not support a Type C because of.
As I step around, that is a Type C.
So we just don't have it plugged in, likely because there's no Type C. Yeah, if it had a Type C, it would have been right about here. So the only alternative would be to get a Type C a Type C internal to a USB 2 header.
Do they make them?
Well, here's the problem. We're using the USB 2 header for the block, right? And we're using the USB 3 header for the front. And that's the only headers this board has.
Okay.
And then we have a front port audio header. This doesn't have front port audio? There's no jack on the front for that?
No.
What the heck? Well, I guess it makes sense as a home theater PC. You'd be running audio out the back.
Yeah.
Okay. So a cable I wanted I didn't get with this case, and a cable that the motherboard doesn't support. I can't even adapt it to anything because there's no free ports. Because it is a B450, it's a budget ITX board. It always has been. And I don't know that I want that bad enough to replace the board.
Right.
Because we could get a more modern AM4 socket board and repurpose the RAM and the NVMe and the cooler for the cost of the board. But then what do I do with the old board?
Right.
Then I'm stuck having to buy another processor to use the board. Never mind. All that just to plug in this.
Right.
The alternative is Silverstone sells an add-in card that adds USB, an internal Type C header. Except there would be no way to mount that add-in board because everything has to lay sideways. So what that means is I'd have to use the riser cable so I could fit the add-in board back here, horizontal. All just to add one plug, which I could just put a dust cover in and call it a day.
Right.
But there's no way to put a bigger board in this. As far as I know, this is all you can put in here. I don't think, even though it's this big, I don't think it supports anything but mini ITX because of the drive cage, space for the radiator and space for the video card, and then space for your power supply, laying it all flat. If you think about, some YouTube channels, they've built the computer on the wall and everything lays out flat. It gets really wide instead of, putting it stacked into a tower.
These little power supplies crack me up, though. I mean, I'm so used to your full size to see one this petite.
You should see them in the mini PCs now. They're like this big. All right. Well, let's see what they're saying in the chat room here. There's Martin Hogg saying hello. Yeah, there's something about those fans. They just sound like a weed whacker from 2 doors down. Hold on. Let me just try something. See, if you want to stop the fan, you go to the middle, not the edge. That way you don't get your finger smacked by the blades. Okay. That sounds like the loud one.
Yeah.
Let's spin that one back up. No, they're both.
No, they're both. Yeah.
Yeah, they're loud.
Do you have black Noctua?
I do. Or are those 140s or are those 120s?
No, they don't look like 140s.
Do you know how to tell?
No.
Well,
You're gonna hit me.
Protect the good.
Okay.
I know you're familiar with one of these.
Yeah, for various reasons. All right, so what do I do?
Tell me how many centimeters
Centimeters. That's even better.
is that fan wide?
12.
So 12 centimeters is 120 millimeters.
Okay.
If it was 14, it'd be 140 millimeters. So those are two 120s. Now
And even
you've learned the metric system.
Yeah. And even if you have the ugly brown one, so what? You got.
I do have the ugly brown.
You got a beautiful silver top on this.
But I also have some spare fans laying around here. Let me just take a quick look. Would you mind putting that back in that drawer for me?
For later? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I like to mark the wall.
Okay.
You know, to see my growth over the years.
All right.
Let's see. What do we have here? We have some cheap fan made by nobody. I have a scythe fan just sitting here. Oh, I wish I had two of those. Oh man. So yeah, with Noctua, you're never gonna believe this, man.
Two brown 120s? Those look like 140s to me.
I mean, they're a little dusty.
Okay.
But why do you think they're brown?
You want the real reason or not?
Well, I realize the box is...
Got a nice from Jason.
Oh, there's Planet Cryos with a $2 super chat. Says hello. Thank you for pointing that.
Happy Friday. Let me look, see. Is it open? Can I open it?
You should be able to.
Can I? All right. Hey, they're black.
Yeah, see it says Chromax on the side?
Okay.
And then if you show everybody, you have these little rubber bumpers that go in the corners of multiple colors. And then you just get one of each color as display, and then underneath there's 3 more of each color, so you do all 4. Is it 4 or 8? Do they go on both sides or just one side? I can't remember. It's a big waste for the landfill, in my opinion. So if we open this up, these are brand new. They've been sitting around for a while, but these are, you don't want the industrial ones. Those are really loud. So hold that box for a second, because I'm going to take all of these. We don't want yellow. We don't want blue. We don't want green. I don't want red. I want black. That'll match. And then when we go underneath here, we have this little packet, and this contains all the other little rubber bumpers. And then this cable, which for some reason Noctua gives you a 1-inch fan cable and then an extension. So for some people that have really short cable runs, I guess. I mean, see where that cable, I mean, naturally,
pretty stubby.
Without the extension, that fan cable.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had something that would, imagine there's no cable management if you had to do that. Now, some people will argue about fan pressure, where certain fans are needed for radiators versus case fans. And once we identify who the nerds are, we know that, you know, the context of what they speak is of tech minutia that doesn't really play a role outside of extreme performance scenarios. And since this cooler is way overkill for this processor, just having any air at all flowing through there is all we need. We don't have to worry about how much air pressure. It's ridiculous what people obsess about. And again, I get a little frustrated with people worrying about avoiding problems when they haven't done anything yet. Get off your butt and do something. And if you have a problem, come on in here and ask for help. If you need it, we're here to help. What we can't help you with is your imagination, with imagining what problems you might have that you're trying to avoid by not doing something or asking for guidance. Where, listen, the best advice I can give you is get off your butt and do it. Don't worry about what's going to go wrong. because as long as we have this community here, we can help you with anything that goes wrong. What you need to focus on is things are probably not going to go wrong once you actually get off your butt and do it. You'll be surprised how easy it is.
I'm using my words. You won't go through. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, a little bit of a tight fit. Thank you.
You need this one, and then
well,
no, maybe not. So
did you get the little white box out of there?
Yeah, it fell on the floor.
Oh, I got you. All right.
My lumbago. All right.
You brought bagels?
Yeah.
Someone had a great idea for a recipe. You take like a tortilla.
Okay.
And you spread cream cheese all over it.
All right.
Then you get the everything bagel seasoning and you put that on generously.
Yes.
Then roll the tortilla and then cut that tortilla about every 1 inch. And then take those and put them in the toaster oven or your air fryer.
Okay.
For, I don't know, 400 degrees until they brown. And what you got there is Starbucks bagel bites. You ever had Starbucks bagel bites?
Mm-mm. Are they good?
Well, you'll have to tell me when you make it. All right. Should we shut this down so we can change the fans?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me go back over to HDMI 3. Shut her down. I got a special place for these fans.
So
called the wastebasket.
Oh, so do I, but anyway, all right. Power off, and your Milwaukee.
You doing it, or am I doing it?
Why, certainly.
Certainly.
Okay. Okay.
6 hours later.
Yeah. Does your magnet work? It's not.
Well, depends if the screws are brass.
Should I do it?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, it may be. Oh yeah, it's working. It just lost its magnetic appeal. Like me. Excuse me.
It's on number 3. So what am I doing now?
You've got to go lefties, loosies. Yeah, there's a little washer under there.
Well, there was. Oh.
Well, the magnet should pick it up. Look at you go. All right.
I played Operation as a kid. All right.
Did you win? No, that's the question.
Yeah, the funny,
anybody can play.
Yeah, the funny bone, no.
He is getting the feel of it in just 3 turns of the screw to the center of the Tootsie Pop. Okay, so let's start right there, just to see some progress here. If we take this one fan out, we see it's plugged in over here, right? All right, and remember how that went in? So here's our original fan. Let me hold that. You hold that, I mean.
Bad fan.
This
Noisy
is the
fan.
Same size? Same
Yes.
size.
And it
now,
went in.
do we want to put the rubber grommets on it? Let me see. Those grommets. Where were the boxes that had the rubber?
Over here. I got them. Yeah. I'll get them.
Why wasn't I was giving this to you for you to stick it somewhere. I need the ones in the cardboard box.
Box.
Right.
Box. Fan.
Give it.
Snoo. What's new with you?
What's the matter, you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm learning Italian. All right, let's see. So I'm guessing, oh look, we got fan screws. Like I don't have enough of those. And they give us 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so there's only 3. You only do one side of the fan, not both sides. And the question is, should we do the side that faces down? Usually the side you're going to do is the side that you're screwing in from. So in this case, it'll be this way. And the rest of that is waste. That's what Noctua does. They give you a bunch of waste. Oh, and you pay for that. They're not actually giving it to you.
So while you're doing that, you want me to remove the other hand?
No, and the reason is this one's going to be a lot easier to put in when we have something to sort of backstop it.
Oh, okay.
And let's do this first.
And the radiator looks clean, yeah.
There's no reason you can't do it that way, you know, by removing it now. But I just figure we're taking them all off anyway, so why not just do one at a time, just in case there's any issues of fitment. We don't have to put it all back together again. We can only just do one half at a time. Or be bold, and anyway, you can see the way that kind of comes together there. And so what this is doing is this is going to suck air in or pull air in from this side. It's going to push it through the radiator and out the bottom, which would be an ideal airflow for us to get the hot air out of the case and then blow it out the bottom rather than out the back. Certainly wouldn't want it blown out the front. Or worrying about the sides having enough room to breathe, although it does still need, you know, some airflow. So you wouldn't want to put this in a cabinet and close the door and run it. You probably run into heat issues, as you would with any computer in that environment.
And some people put their PlayStations, you know, in a cabinet and like, how's it going to breathe?
Did I only put 2 on? I feel like I put 3 on. What did I do? 1, 2. Oh, there is a. It's so it blends in. Barely noticed. All right. So then So what these are for? Not only are they for looks, but they're to prevent the vibration if the fan were to sort of wobble a bit with the metal screw holding it in place. Plastic against metal, and so by putting this little rubber bumper on here, this absorbs vibration. Now, if we put this one on exactly the way the other one was on, it would go right here, right? And then there, and there.
How do I know if it's lined up?
I want to make sure we're not sitting on any cables.
Nope. I can't feel.
Well, let it go for a second. That's why I say this makes it a little easier to put these in, because you can bump up against the other fan to help you seat it. And then you should be able to just turn these by hand. You don't want to use an electric driver on these initially because everything's brass on the radiator. It's very soft metal. And you can strip it out super easy. So the screwdriver is set on 3, correct?
Oh, so these are lined up and finger tight? You found
Well, they're started. They're not tight.
Right. But you found it, yeah.
But so long as they're lined up, so we don't cross thread.
Right, yeah.
And then, if this is on 3, it is.
Go ahead.
These don't need to be that tight. In fact, if you see the little rubber corner there starting to warp or bend, see that one is not liking the thread at all. And this is what can happen when you use an electric driver or you're not being cautious with the screws. And I think this was done when I built it. And sometimes the way around this is you just have to tighten it by, you're sort of creating new threads, which makes me cringe because it could also be the screw that's causing the problem.
That's certainly tight enough.
No, the problem is a screw sticking way up.
So?
Well, I want it to at least hold the fan down.
Oh, okay. But you got 3 other ones.
Well, yeah, it's not going anywhere. I'm really just trying to avoid vibration. All right, those are probably a little over tight. But I just wanted to push past the burr or whatever was here.
Okay.
That was preventing the screw from... Okay. And then we can plug this back in over here where it was before. Like that. And then just repeat the same. And while you do that, in the other box, there should be another. But I thought I set it down. Oh, this isn't it, is it? This is the. No, this is the one that's going to be trash.
Yeah.
Because we won't use any of those colors.
Must be in here.
I'll trade you. Thank you.
How's everybody's Friday going? As Carey knows, we had a somewhat of a little cold snap earlier in the week where the temperature was very nice. So your Uncle Mitch was able to pull out his Kevlar motorcycle riding coat for the last, and his full-faced helmet for kind of the last ride, wearing a jacket, and it was very nice indeed. Took a ride out to Bartlett Lake. There's a 2-lane road that goes out there. That during the weekday, there's no cars on it, nobody pulling boats, so I got to go around, and very, very enjoyable. There's this one. Right here. And that simply you just pull straight off?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no clip or anything.
No clip or anything. Okay.
And then I'm done with this box with more of those little multicolored corners, and that'll go in the trash can. I would not be buying Noctua fans. These are leftover.
Right.
I think they're way overpriced, and I think that there are better or as good of fans from Scythe and Thermalright, Corsair and Leon Lee. Not that the Corsair ones are priced that much cheaper, but I don't get the value of it. I think people are buying into an idea rather than buying into a better fan. But it's their money. If they want to spend it that way, they can. And I bought these because I was doing a bunch of fan upgrades, and at the time, fans just weren't as comparable as they are today with the Noctuas. So don't worry about lining up the hole. Just basically get them fed into the opening, right? Hold on. All I want you to do is just drop it in so you can feel it go through the other side. Once you've done all 4 that way, there you go. Then you can kind of look and see a side, like I see a side right here.
Okay.
And once you get one started, and that's where you want to be careful, you don't want to stab the radiator with one of these screws. So we do want to be conscientious of just getting one corner started and paying attention that the other screws aren't sticking out too far. This needs to come in this way.
You got the rubber here.
Oh, I see. Is that what's causing the grief? Okay. I knew I was bumping into something. Once you get the one started, the other should go line up automatically. And then, this cabling, I can clean this up later, but essentially we just have a fan splitter.
Oh, so you got them lined up? Yeah.
The fans are plugging into the block on here.
Yeah. Well, instead of this, let me use the hand one. I'm a little nervous. The other one that you.
There you go.
That you. Very nice.
If you start to see the rubber warp or bend, then just back it off a little bit.
I'll bet this will quiet her down.
Jason Lewis wants to know, with a $2 super chat, where are you putting this build? We have not been able to figure that out since the day we built it. I was thinking Mitch might take it home, but
and again, Jason, I have a movie screening room, but I have a rack that this would then not fit in. All my gear is on 5 shelves, and this is too wide. So my old rack, it would have been perfect for, but unfortunately this one, I don't have. Check my work.
Well, I'm sure it's fine. I was watching.
Yeah.
All right, fire her up.
You set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what it does.
Yeah.
Has it turned on yet?
Oh, that's much quieter. That's much quieter. Jeez. What a difference.
There's nothing.
Yeah, what a difference.
Let's go over to the window. No, not window capture. It's number 3 output. There's our desktop.
I'll put my mic very close.
You can't even hear the ocean on that.
No.
It's just completely silent.
Yeah.
So then someone will say, well, that's because it's not moving any air through the radiator. Well, let's find out if that's true. Let's grab the utilities flash drive here. And we'll copy over.
At one time, weren't these fans like $40 a piece,
Something like
which
that.
is a little, I agree with you, a little pricey, but man, are
They're
they
good. They're just
man,
not
are they whisper?
$40.
Yeah, are they whisper quiet? Jeez.
Did I lose my HWI info? Oh no, it's under PC testing. And then I want Cinebench, so we'll grab that, and HWI. Grab that over here.
You gonna pound this beautiful night?
Well,
With
I mean,
test,
I want to make sure
okay.
that, you know, because we're going to get the people that are, that's fancy, something out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
issue. You know, like everything is always, there are circumstances where that is a benefit. This is not one of them, and I'm about to prove it. There's not this absolute that something is always preferred in my world unless it can be proven to actually make any difference. And I believe, maybe I'll be proven wrong, these videos are live and unscripted, but I believe we will see no degradation in cooling because this doesn't need a liquid cooler. The chip we're using doesn't run that hot to begin with. So even just having a liquid cooler, probably with one fan, is probably all it needs.
But if you were running what, maybe a 4K movie file or something like that? No?
I mean, the chip just doesn't get that hot. Maybe if you were overclocking it or overvolting it, you could make it that hot, or you were using a Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9, or just a higher end Ryzen chip than a 5700G. It's not exactly the Apollo 11 here. So we'll start Cinebench. There we go. And we got to accept that license agreement. I'm going to hit start, bring up hardware info box, which is over here. That big. And you see our CPU temps. Right here, there's our core temps. See here, it says core 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 8 cores. Currently, we're down into the 60s. Our lowest temp since we started the software was idling around the 30s, which is really, really good. And then our maximum temp so far, this is the side we want to watch. And let me just move this over to the right. And now we get all the benefits of cooling without all the noise from those cheap EVGA fans. And that just shows you that you can have a very good liquid cooler with crappy fans. And when I say crappy fans, I'm referring to noise. Or for some of you, you'd be referring to RGB or not, right? So we'll leave that there and keep an eye on it. And then what I need to do is come over to OBS. And I need to put us down in a corner somewhere. So let me bring us back. Minimize this over here. I don't know, maybe right about there.
Then I have a question. It's very technical.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You have an HDMI port on this.
Yeah, I guess we don't need the flash drive in here anymore. I do.
Above it is a DisplayPort.
Correct.
Tell me the difference, since I don't know. Are they exactly the same?
No.
Or are they not? Why do manufacturers? Because to me, DisplayPort, am I right, never took off like HDMI. It was so easy. And then you got 4K going beautiful. So do businesses use this port, or what is it and why? It might be kind of dumb, but I don't know, and I don't like it. I don't like that port. Why don't I like it?
Almost
I don't
universally,
know.
businesses only use DisplayPort. So if you get any business class computers or business class monitors, it's quite common they only have DisplayPort. The reason they have DisplayPort is DisplayPort was supporting, and still does support, higher resolutions at higher frame rates that you cannot achieve through HDMI. But HDMI cables keep getting better and better and improving, but also DisplayPort's getting better and better. It's like comparing USB 2 to USB 3. So if you're not running, really high resolutions at really high frame rates, you're probably fine with HDMI. But HDMI can only take you to so many frames per second and so at such a resolution. DisplayPort takes that higher. DisplayPort can carry more data than HDMI can. So if you're running just a 1080 desktop, it doesn't matter which one you use.
But architects that are using maybe CAD software, very high end gamers,
if they want to take advantage of the ultra high resolutions and frame rates, then they
your game console
sneer at your HDMI.
But your game consoles don't have a DisplayPort.
Well, game consoles don't run at that kind of resolution. Right, we're talking PC gaming.
Right.
You know, if you want to game at 8K, you probably want to go DisplayPort.
Okay.
Or
which they don't even have any games at 8K yet, do they?
Well, maybe. These cables down here. Keep them.
Wow, look at that.
Keep knocking my microphone up.
HK UHD, very nice.
This is an HDMI cable. And I do believe these support 8K, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it says 8K. It says 8K right on the cable.
Okay.
Okay for the 8K?
If you say.
Anyway, they're not that expensive. But prior to this, prior to the new HDMI standard, the only way you could do that would be through DisplayPort. You know, I'm just kind of curious.
I don't think I even see any 8Ks when I go to my local Costco. You know the big TVs they have for sale?
Yeah, well,
is that a thing yet?
Doman 2000 said DisplayPort was used in home video and cinema equipment. I'm just curious if we go to, let's just ask, do we have a co-pilot? No, Copilot's not on this. Let's see. What is, I just want to see what the official, what the difference HDMI versus DisplayPort.
That's different.
And I've really screwed up the typing.
Differency.
DisplayPort and HDMI are both digital display interface standards used to transmit video and audio signals. The main difference lies in their bandwidth. Multiple display support and audio return channel, or ARC. You ever seen that on your TV? ARC? Capabilities. DisplayPort typically offers higher bandwidth and better multi-display support, making it a preferred choice for PC gaming and multi-monitor setups. HDMI is more widely used on televisions and consoles, with HDMI 2.1 offering significant bandwidth improvements. HDMI 2.1 can support 4K at 120 Hz or 8K at 60 Hz.
Oh, and is the current HDMI the 2.1?
Correct.
We haven't gone higher. That's it right now.
Well, what do you
currently.
mean? That just came out.
Oh, did it?
HDMI standard.
2.1, yeah.
Wikipedia, HDMI. Somewhere in here they will have the history of 1.0 and etc. as we've grown to the different standards, the specs. HDMI 1.0 was 165 megahertz, which was sufficient to allow 1080p and WUXGA, which is 1920 by 1200 at 60 hertz. 1.3 increased that to 340 megahertz, which allows for higher resolution, such as WQXGA, which is 2560 by 1600 across a single digital link. HDMI connection can either be single link or dual link, which is type A, C, or D versus type B, and it can have a video pixel rate of 25 Hz to 340 megahertz, or 25 megahertz to 340 megahertz for a single link connection, and 25 megahertz to 680 megahertz for dual link connection. Video format with pixel rates below 25 megahertz, like 480i at 13.5 megahertz, are transmitted over TMDS using a pixel repetition scheme. Then it gets into the audio standards, HDMI 1 versus 1.2a. use a certain video standard. 1.3 uses the CEA 861. So here's the thing, and I talked about this the other day, just to summarize this, as we get into the weeds and the technical specs. Somebody buys a new monitor, but they say the monitor doesn't come with a cable, so they just use the monitor cable, the HDMI cable they've got now, and then parts of the monitor don't work right. Like it doesn't wake up from sleep, or sometimes you have to turn it off and back on again to get the signal, and they're like, what's wrong with my new monitor? Well, what's wrong with it is you were too cheap to buy a new modern HDMI cable. Were they the same? No, the plugs look the same, but the wiring inside of them is very, very different, especially if yours is many years old. If you just dropped all this money on a new monitor or a new TV, don't be cheap. Buy a cable. Save yourself the frustration of trying to figure out a problem that you likely could have avoided by simply not being cheap. But there's this old adage, right? It still works. Why do I need to replace it? Because you just replaced the monitor. Or they do the opposite. They replace the computer, and they take a brand new computer, hook it up to a 15-year-old monitor. Right. And they have some issues. Maybe it doesn't go to sleep, or it doesn't wake up, or they have some weird lines on the screen, or maybe sometimes they have to turn it off and back on. That's always the cable. Spend $8 and buy a new cable. Yep. And if you just look at the cable with the untrained eye, it looks exactly the same, but they're not the same. You have to be able to, tell me, is your HDMI cable 1.3? Is it 2.1? And they go, well, how do I know? Well, here's a real easy way. Go buy a 2.1 cable for $8 and let me know if that fixes it. It's not a major investment. Like, why are we going to talk about it for 20 minutes and spend $40 worth of my time? Then just go spend $8 and plug it in and be done with it. Then if there's still a problem, then reach out. So that's the main deal, is that not all HDMI cables, nor are display cables all the same.
But they have HDMI cables that are even more expensive. I mean, you can get
depending on
obscene prices where I'm like, $50 for a 3-foot long. Oh, but the copper in them, I'm like,
those are ripoffs.
Yeah, not that I don't believe you, but I'm like, that seems like a lot of money for a cable.
Unless you have a lot of interference you're trying to protect it from, and you need extra
shielding.
Installation. Yeah. And then on the other hand, if you can get somebody to spend $20 more, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you think they're looking out for you? They're trying to make a sale.
Right.
But then you have powered HDMI cables, and those are like for long runs, and the signal gets weaker the longer you run the cable. Right. Same with Ethernet and everything. Yeah. Just like an Ethernet cable, is it a 10 meg cable, 100 meg cable, gig cable, multi-gig cable, 10 gig cable? They all look exactly alike. But when you can't establish your connection speed, because you wouldn't spend $3 to replace the cable, but instead you're going to spend 3 days trying to figure out why you can't get gigabit. I've seen it all. Yeah. And it's usually the simple solutions that are often the easiest. The simple solutions are often the most common solutions, is what I mean to say. Now, if we go back over here just to see what our temps are doing, because you and I are not looking at it right now. Those fans aren't any louder. Like, no. I still hear nothing. And our maximum temp so far, 70 degrees Celsius.
And you get nervous.
That's crazy.
And you get nervous when it gets up to like 88 or
85.
85. You're like, shut her down.
We're nowhere even close to 85.
No. Which tells me, besides these being good fans, it's a good radiator then, pushing that fluid.
Well, the pump. It's not so much the radiator, it's the pump. Let's do our single core test now. Yeah. Because apparently we finished on the multi-core here. That's our score, which on this processor right here falls in that range. We'll hit start on the single core, and that'll run for another 10 minutes. And again, we'll keep an eye on the temps. But you'll see that there's a very loud, very vocal minority of extremely technical people who have no practical knowledge. It's like book smart versus street smart. So you get these, let's call them book smart people. And this isn't to make fun of anybody. This is to educate those who don't know the difference. When you're talking to somebody online, especially, somebody using a handle, you don't know who they are, or if they're profoundly technical, like you see them working on stuff and you don't even know what it is, they're probably going to get into the weeds in details that likely don't make a difference in your life because you don't do what they do. So there's a lot of misinformation or information that doesn't apply to most people with regards to should the radiator be up or down, and air bubbles in the system, and amount of pressure the fans put in. if you want to go work, get a job at MIT, or study at MIT in the research and development department, and you want to get into thermodynamics and aerodynamics, that is information you will need to have in order to pass your class. But when you're fixing your computer at home, that is so over the top ridiculous, because this is consumer grade equipment. This is not the stuff they're putting on the moon. This stuff is made to take a beating from the average ordinary consumer, and out of the box it's pretty bulletproof unless you try to make it better. And it's when the end user tries to make it better that we get into these weeds of the details that ultimately make no performance difference unless they have overvolted and created a heat situation that now they have to defeat or try to contain with an over-the-top cooler. And all this takes a lot of time, experimentation, a lot of blue screens and troubleshooting could go on until your wallet's empty and beyond, just to hike Everest, right? There's nothing at the top of Everest. There's nothing there. So why do people do it? It's something to do, and it costs a lot of money. Okay, so if they want to do that, I'm not telling them not to. But if you're trying to get winter clothing advice, like what are some good snow boots, and you're in a forum containing a bunch of people that are all talking about going up Mount Everest, the level of equipment that they're buying and requiring is expensive. It's over the top for pretty much anybody else. That is an extreme use case scenario. And well, you might find it interesting, and you might want to own a pair of those Everest boots. It's no different than somebody buying a 4x4 Land Rover for $120,000. You know they ain't taking that thing off-road. Come on. It's more about the idea. So I try to keep it real and keep it practical, and I put actions to my words to demonstrate what I'm telling you with evidence, which, I'd like to see a lot more of that here on YouTube or anywhere on the internet. Just because somebody says something, where's their evidence? Where's their citation from a reputable source? If they don't provide that, you should not believe it, or at least be skeptical that it's likely not true, or is only true under certain conditions. If all of these conditions apply to you, then what they're saying would apply to you. Otherwise, it doesn't. And without that disclaimer and with that omission of detailed the orientation of where this information they're providing matters, is very, very much, in my experience, only going to make a difference on how extreme your system is. So as you can see here, with these Nacho fans, they are whisper quiet. We're not hearing a thing, and we're not having any cooling. I mean, we're not even close to. Yeah. Now, we'd have to go back to this video originally, because I'm sure we ran the same test. But I wouldn't be surprised if those temps were even cooler, and at the very least, not any hotter than they were before. So, because I can't imagine it could have run much cooler than it's running right now. So just to put that to bed before that, I know the internet pretty well, and I know what the internet does. There's certain triggers from certain individuals, and I'm trying to put the safety before they go off. All right, let's see what we're missing in the chat. Do you know we're 10 minutes away from 2 hours?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Jason Lewis says, Mitch, are you saying you need a better, bigger rack?
Let's see, 5 shells. No, it's perfect. Yeah.
Jerry Span said, that's the problem with home theater PCs. They're hard to integrate into your current setup. It could be, especially if like this is silver and you went with a different color. But it's got to be quiet. I mean, we have many PCs now that are pretty much out of sight, out of mind. You can hide them anywhere that are quiet and will get the job done.
The only upgrade to my my screening room would be I'm liking my old Epson 1080p projector. Just put in a new bulb. Watched YouTube video on how to do it, so I saved myself $100 from having the home theater guys come out and do it in 5 minutes. I did it myself, and so the upgrade would be switching that projector from 1080 to a 4K, keeping the screen, because that was a special, gray screen, 120-inch in diameter, mounted on a frame, on the wall, so that I wouldn't need to change. I mean, because the size of the room isn't going to get any bigger. It's the size of the room. So, but I look at 4K and it just looks, I'm not going to say waxy or fakey, but it's just too sharp.
Too vivid. Yeah.
Too vivid. I like 1080 on movies, on Blu-ray.
Maybe part of what you get used to.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite James Bond? Probably the first James Bond you saw.
Peter Sellers? No.
Peter Sellers. I think that's a different inspector.
Yeah, David Niven. No. Connery, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first James Bond that I saw was Roger Moore. So for me, Roger Moore is the best.
Yeah.
Now, my first Doctor Who was Tom Baker, but I think Tom Baker would have been my favorite regardless.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work that way. But you know, it may be that you just got used to 1080. It's such an improvement over what we grew up watching with, 4:3. And the 4K, I don't know. I guess it depends what you're watching. But for me, I don't really see it. I'll watch it in 4K if I can. But if you asked me, if I didn't know and you said, hey, are you watching this in 1080 or 4K? If you tested me, I'm not sure I could tell them apart.
My twin sister was visiting me once when we were in LA, and we were at some high class bar having one cocktail because it was pretty pricey, and the Bond guy Timothy Dalton walked in. Oh. And of course, when we walked in, my sister goes, on three, 1, 2, 3. So we went, da-na, da-na, and he looked at us.
Shaken?
And then smiled and walked away. But I thought, we got to do it. Da-na.
That was probably the 18th time that day.
Yeah. I don't think his girlfriend was that impressed. Like, at least we got a smile on him versus him.
Bodyguards.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah.
Rough them up.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I just coming over here to Studio C, I just had my first AI experience.
Did you?
Yeah. I got flipped off by a driverless car.
But
that's not even the dad joke of the day yet.
It isn't.
I'm saving that.
Well, what are you saving it for?
Okay. You ready for it? It's really
No, I'm never ready for
And now it's time.
All right.
For the dad joke of the day.
Buckle in.
Why did the moose attend the family reunion?
Why did the moose attend the family reunion?
Because he wanted to see his uncles and antlers.
Oh.
Wow. And on that, good night, everyone. That's our show.
All right, I'm going to Google.
Okay.
Because I don't have one. So let me find one.
Okay.
Let's see. Singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth. Then it's a soap opera.
Okay.
What do you call a fish wearing a bow tie? Sophisticated.
Okay.
If April showers bring Mayflowers, what do Mayflowers bring?
Don't know.
Pilgrims.
Wah, wah. He's trying to one-up me. Okay.
I thought the dryer was shrinking on my clothes. Turns out it was the refrigerator. All right.
Okay.
You want any of those?
No.
There's a few there.
That's all right.
No?
Yeah. I like my two. Mm-hmm.
You know what the janitor said when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies!
Okay.
All right.
Well, is Cinebench done? It's got to be done. Please let it. Yeah, please let it be done.
You try to say something?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. Let me go full screen so Mitch and I can see that. Well, no, it's still running the last
panel or something.
The
last test. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so it's so
this
you see the counter stopped at 0.
Yeah, this one's going quicker than the other one was pretty pokey. So
I think it's the other way around.
Oh.
We're on single core, so we're just doing one core now, so it's a little slower, but it's still.
And the fans haven't even ramped up. I mean, where you would maybe hear some noise, it's just quiet.
Oh yeah, I mean they haven't ramped up at all. And if we look at our temps, I mean the max still hasn't changed. We're under 71C this whole time. When do we ever see that?
Yeah,
it's like I said, the 5700G does not require a liquid cooler, but the case, well, we'd have to have a pretty shallow cooler in there, and we'd be adding another fan, which you don't want in a home theater PC if you can avoid it. Jim KJ3N mentions that you could probably lop this in half and still have a whole computer in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I could say the same if you were driving an SUV and you're the only one in it. This isn't, if you were to buy this, the reason somebody would buy this is to be able to use a liquid cooler, a mini ITX board, to also add a full-size graphics card, have your power supply, have two 3.5-inch drives and two 2.5-inch drives. Like that is a
storage,
full, that's a big computer.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a giant tower and you just have one little motherboard in there, I could equally say the same to you. That's just not the right case for you, right? Like, remember David Byrne on Talking Heads? He had this big
suit.
That big suit. That jacket's too big.
Yeah. Did that finish?
No, because you see here.
Oh, over here? Yeah.
Right over here. See how it says stop?
Yeah.
Okay, so when it's done, this screen right now it's drawing it block by block.
Right.
That's going to fill up this whole black space.
Oh.
And then we're going to get a final score where it's at 0. That's our countdown timer. As it reaches 0 and then does the final test. The first 10 minutes are just kind of getting things warmed up. All right, so, and then down here where it's the orange bar, it says it's running. So a couple ways you can tell when it's done, and probably a couple minutes away. All right, back over to the chat. What do we got going on here? Channel 0 says, Mitch's jokes always make me laugh, but then again, I'm 46. Why is that a qualifier? Because he's a dad age? Patrick Manny says, it's just like watching paint dry. That's pretty similar if paint had a countdown timer. Bill Stott said that Ryzen 5700G is still a very capable CPU. Agreed. I mean, it's not doing anything I don't want it to do. It's the motherboard not having that Type-C connector. I guess that's the one stickler, but that's not that important.
Thomas Mac T says hello. Hello back to you.
Do we have a Type-C on the back of the board?
Happy Friday. I looked. No.
No, not even on the back. So no Type-C on this. But you can get a USB A to C adapter and plug it in. Let's see. How much does a 5700G go for these days?
They still make them?
Yeah, of course. AMD stays, they keep that old socket alive. There's at least some in inventory. I don't know if they still make them.
Is that 150 beans, biscuits, bongos, bananas? I can keep going. Shekels?
It's a 65-watt CPU. It's 145.34 right now on Amazon with free delivery. And then it looks like there's some used ones, but that's only a $5 savings. So screw that. And then this is a board and the CPU together for $265. That's pretty good. And that board is an Asus B550. We're at a 450.
Okay.
I wonder if that Asus board has a Type-C connector. Let's see if I can bring that up closer.
You would think it would one of the photos would show you the side with the ports on it.
Well, this is it. This is a USB types. This is USB 3. Oh, you want to see the back of it? So,
it only has a one photo.
Yeah, we'd have to specifically look up the
third gen
board here. So the Asus B550A Wi-Fi 2. I realize I didn't get the A in there, but that's okay. It'll figure it out. That's the board. It's a $120 board, so they're what, taking 20 bucks off, I guess. And then the ports on the back. Oh, it's got old school DVI on there. I don't see any Type-C on that either. Even VGA, DVI, and one HDMI. No DisplayPort. There you go.
Okay. 6
USB Type A's, but no Type-C. And I don't think the board has a Type-C. That might have had to have been on maybe 600 series or 570 series. I don't remember how long it's been. Because I remember having the reverse problem where the motherboard had the header, but the case didn't. It's one way or the other, I suppose. All right, so with that, let's get back over here to camera 1. And how's our test going? Almost done. We're getting there. And then back over to the chat room. Yeah, Phil Stodd verifies B550 does not usually support Type-C. That's been a few years. Mark Gaines said, my boss said to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So I went in as Batman.
Dang, that's a good one, Mark. Yeah.
Patrick T says, my B650 does have a USB-C front and rear header on my Ryzen 7 7700X build.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently it has nothing to do with the chip, but it has to do with the chipset on the motherboard.
Mm.
All right. Well, I'm going to say this is a successful test, and 2 hours to replace 2 fans is definitely something a couple old men would do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But I was really hopeful that that other case would arrive and we would have a new build, but it's still not here. And then, of course, the Silverstone case, I don't expect that till next week. So those are future builds that we'll get into. And let's see. Just about done there. And I just want to look again in the chat room because we're just at the 2 hour mark.
There you go.
What's for dinner? Bacon fat?
And plenty of it, yeah. Steak, it's what's for dinner.
Oh.
Is that the commercial? Yeah. Or is it beef?
I would think one implies the other.
Yeah.
Jerry Span said he's got an MSI 10th gen. Well, that's going to be Intel. We're talking about AMD here, though, folks. Yeah, that's dead silent. You'd never know that was on.
Yep.
All right,
well,
so I'm warming up to that EVGA cooler. I guess we don't have to plug
Yep.
another cooler in there.
And you will throw those 2 fans that we took off.
I know exactly where those are going to go.
Yeah, right in the circular file. Okay.
Well, they are circular fans.
Yeah.
You got to keep my OCD happy.
Yeah.
I think we finished, so let's take a
Ooh,
look.
and Andy says wings. Yeah, I never met a wing I didn't like. So.
Oh, I can introduce you to a few.
Okay.
There's a few places the wings are not good.
Oh.
Let's see. There's our final scores on our benchmarks. There's our final temps. I mean, these maximums are insanely cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, a liquid cooler on a 5700G is just silly, but for the case design, it makes sense.
Yep.
I think we could probably squeeze a regular cooler in there, but again, if you want this in a home theater, you want it as
Whisper
silent as you
quiet,
can get it. So that's a good way to get there. And so overall, I suppose just downloading the EVGA software for that driver issue, and that'll also let us communicate with the pump with regards to controlling the RGB, which no one's going to see, and then pump information regarding rotation speeds and temps being reported. Although we're going to pick up temps from the motherboard anyway. So as you can tell with Cinebench and with HW Info, we're getting our temps off the board, not from the water block. Which one's more accurate? Good question. Don't know. If we want to, we can take a screenshot of this. Let me go back and bring that up. And I think it's just the print screen button is all I need to hit here. And then if I go to Paint, that way I have a record of it on the desktop. I will click Got It and shrink this down. Paste, edit, file, save as a JPEG to the desktop, and I'm going to call it Cinebench. Save. And if I close this, and I close this, and I close this, I should be left with this. And by getting that whole screen, now I've got the HWI temps along with our scores.
Yep.
And then that way, in 2 years, when I fire this back up, I can say, oh, I remember that.
If we're alive. All right.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something clever.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
What do you mean we, Kimosabe?
Just put your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't have any intention of adding a graphics card to this. So for that reason, this case is bigger than I would need. To fair point that if we cut that in half, it would have worked for my purposes, but not necessarily for the purposes the engineers designed it for. So in that case, I bought a case. And that's the case. That is not appropriate for my needs. But I wanted the experience. This is such a different layout. I guess we can go full screen again on camera one. This is such a different layout that I wanted really just demonstrate to you guys. Cases don't have to be towers, and they don't have to be mini PCs. And there are other mini PC form factors from other manufacturers, ranging from little towers to little desktop units, including, well, like that Silverstone case we've got coming up. That's that retro look. This one you're not sacrificing. Most of those you're going to sacrifice something. Full-size graphics card, a limited number of internal drives. These days I don't use internal drives, but that's me, right? So this isn't for me. This is for you guys to know these options do exist. And these companies like Raijintek, they simply don't have the marketing budget of larger manufacturers like Corsair and Antec and NZXT. So they might fly right under your radar. You don't even know they exist. But if you know to look for them, you might just find other designs from this manufacturer. In fact, I haven't looked for them in a long time. We're so used to companies spending millions of dollars in marketing to shove it in our face. How much stuff is available that you don't even know is out there that would be a perfect solution for you? This Mission Impossible movie, how much money do you think they're spending on marketing?
A lot.
If that movie costs $200 million, I'll bet you 80 to 90 million of that's just the marketing money. The billboards, the commercials, yeah. So let's go back over to Amazon right quick, and let's do a quick search just before we wrap it up for today. And again, if you have any comments or questions for us, this is the time to ask, because we're about to wrap it up for today. Back over to window capture, and let's take a look for, and I'm never quite sure how to spell it, R-A-I, Raijin, there, it filled it in for me. Oh, we did the little silver version of this case. They make a power supply, they make a cooler. Yeah, there's the silver version. We've done, this is the Metis, M-E-T-I-S.
Okay.
Oh, look at that water block. But that's if you want to roll your own, which I'm not interested in. Here's a traditional aquarium style Raijintek case, 80 bucks. Here's the Ophion Evo. That one I've never seen before. That's going to be small form factor mini ITX, but accepts a full-size power supply. Here's a roll your own liquid cooling kit from Raijintek. There's the PCIe riser cable. More coolers. Another tower case. The Zophos. They make fans.
Okay.
So without the marketing budget, likely a lot of you are seeing a lot of this stuff for the very first time. And when you're shopping, you gotta think to yourself, what about other manufacturers out there that don't have the big marketing budgets? Are they offering more for less because they don't have to pay for all that marketing? I mean, I've been looking for a flow control on a liquid cooler, and the only one I found was from Cougar. But look, there's a flow control. So you can see that fan spinning as the liquid's moving through the block to verify that you've got fluid properly flowing. And you can see if there's air bubbles or anything, if your fluid gets low, right through that little window. But it's only a, what is that, 120? No, it's 140 single fan cooler, which I don't have much use for that. But if they did that with, here, visit the Raijintek store. Under coolers, let's see what they've got. CPU coolers. So there's your tower air coolers with and without RGB. And no, there's no liquid. Okay, it's got to go there. Liquid cooling, all in one. And I'm looking for the flow control or the flow indicators. Yeah, there it is right there. I mean, $106, it's not bad for RGB and the flow indicator. Reviews, not so good. But it's different. And again, on this CPU, it wouldn't make any difference. It would still cool it fine, I'm sure. I don't know what the longevity of it is, and the RGB is pointless in this case. But this is a prime example. I did not know this existed until just now.
Okay.
All right, because they don't shove it in your face.
Right.
All right, so you've got to go digging for the good stuff. That's all I'm saying. Also, there's a lot of bad stuff you dig for too.
Yeah.
You have to sort through it, but it's worth it. That's how we found this keyboard. It's just digging around and like, wow, never heard of Gravistar before. And now, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I'm fanish.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, quick look over here to the chat. See if we have any final comments or questions. Corey Man said the production budget on Mission Impossible was around $400 million and marketing $100 million. $100 million in commercials and advertising. That's a 25% of the entire budget. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it was in the theaters to go see it. Andy wants to know if you've got any plans to go to Ireland.
Still, it's on my list. I'm kind of, I know I said I was tired of countries where they don't speak English, but I'm kind of leaning towards Hong Kong and Seoul, South Korea. So thinking about 10 days in each, so that would be 20 days. I always, of course, get a one-way ticket because if I'm enjoying myself, I stay. And so, yeah. But that would be in the fall because right now the weather there is probably 90 and 80% humidity. So I would like to kind of avoid that. In October, the weather's much cooler, very less humidity. And so I'm like, that's probably and that's kind of before the high season, which would be December, obviously. So I'm thinking October, but it's just that 15-hour flight from Los Angeles into Hong Kong, and so
well, not far from there, you know, the Computex will be happening. I was thinking it was the first week of May. It's the third week. Hasn't happened yet, and that's in Taipei, Taiwan, and that's I think a 17-hour flight. Yeah,
brutal.
And so I'll let other content creators do that.
Yeah,
and bring us the content that way. And
yeah, so your Uncle Mitch may. I vowed I would never pony up for business class, but with 15 hours one way,
that's a tough ride to be in a middle seat somewhere.
Well, yeah, and one-way economy, believe it or not, LA to Hong Kong is only $550. I was looking at premium economy. That's $1,300, where you get 7 inches more leg room, 2 inches wider seat. But business class is $3,500 one way. But the fact that you do get the cubicle, you can lie down.
Probably get on a cruise ship for that kind of money.
Sleep. I'm like, but the difference, $1,300 versus $3,500. That difference buys a lot of hotel rooms.
And you're still on the same plane. You're still leaving and arriving at the same time.
So
Frankie B with a $10 super chat says, "Great video. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Frankie. All right. Well, I guess it's time to eat.
Yeah.
We got to make sure we keep Mitch's blood sugar up.
Yeah.
So we'll get you some pixie sticks.
There you go. The big 3-foot ones.
Sugar.
Remember those as a kid? They were about that round, and the little ones were fine.
I like the chalky stick with the little bag.
With a bag.
Pouch.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well,
everyone, have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Make bad choices. Carefully. Have a safe weekend.
Enjoy your adventures.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to when you get back here. We'll talk about
with family. And if I'm, not available, I'm not against sending you that acting clip.
Oh, absolutely.
And you showing it. It may contain a little music, but I will assure Carey because I will talk to the director that is royalty free.
I would
music.
just direct them to the link. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't show it here.
Yeah, so
that way I don't risk it.
Right.
And then, and that way
they can watch it on.
They can watch it on their own time.
Yeah, on my IMDb page. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So Mitch Morrison
Yeah.
has an IMDb
page,
Internet Movie Database page,
and of course MitchMorrison.com. I do have an actor website, but when you go on the IMDb, the algorithm senses that the amount of hits, and I guess that's good for them. I don't know what it does for me, but there you go.
You know, we are thespian friendly here.
Yeah.
So this is a safe space for you.
Yeah, and of course, looking forward to seeing my band in August in Vegas.
Oh, you're going to Vegas to see Toto?
Yeah, they're playing Phoenix, but my brother in Colorado's going, well, I want to go.
Oh.
And so I'm like, well, then we'll go. The Fountain Blue. I saw the venue where the band's playing. Beautiful, beautiful venue. I'm like, well, then he's like, get tickets. And I couldn't get front row like I normally can, but I don't know, 10th row dead center. I'm like, good enough.
Fountain Blue's fancy. I haven't been to the one in Vegas, but we did the Acronis thing there in Miami.
Yep.
And that thing was like, I was very uncomfortable. People are literally pulling up in yachts. They have a dock for yachts. And then
say
people
that
are pulling
fast
up
3 times. Yeah,
a yacht dock.
Yeah, yacht dock. Yeah, okay.
And then they also have like Ferraris and stuff. It's just a lot of posturing going on with people with money.
Ahoy,
and women in scantily clad clothing.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It just felt so phony to me. I'd also like $6 for a can of Pepsi. Right. No Coke on the premises.
Okay.
So anyway, it's really hoity-toity.
Yeah.
So the Vegas version of that just recently opened.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to check it out and see how it compares.
Yeah.
Because everything's opulent in Vegas,
Yeah.
so it may not have the same impact on me.
Yeah.
But you'll have to let me know how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll see your footage there when that's all ready.
Yeah. Make you cry, you tough man.
You're making me cry now.
I guarantee. So that's hot wingies.
For other reasons.
Yeah, that's hot wingies I'm thinking about. All right.
Did you have onions earlier?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
No, but yeah, my live chat has crashed like 3 times today. Okay. But so Mitch will be back here. I don't know, a couple months anyway.
Yeah.
Get all your travels out of your system.
Yeah.
And then
the tales that I'll regale you with.
Oh, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And you have some time to study for some dad jokes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks as always to Mara for all the work she does as our channel administrator, getting our thumbnails done and the video descriptions done. Thanks, of course, to our friends at SCD Keys, where you can get Windows and Office license keys with a 30% off coupon code CAREY. That is not a commission link. If you guys want to save money and buy from a legitimate seller that supports their product for 6 months, that's a lot to ask for that tiny bit of price. And I suggest you take advantage of it while you can, because I don't know how much longer we're going to keep this deal up, but I am trying to make sure that if I offer anything on the site, that it's a solid bargain with peace of mind purchasing. It has to meet those requirements before I will even endorse it. With that being said, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to all of our members who make these videos possible. Thanks to everybody in the chat room for hanging out with us today. A shout out once again for those super chats, which I want to say thank you again to Frankie B and Jason Lewis. Jason Lewis again. Here's one from Robert Jones I missed earlier for $10. He said, are there AI programs that can be purchased? Well, it depends what you want it to do. But in general, if it can be sold, somebody's selling it. So we'd have to know more about what you want to do. But do reach out into our forums there, since we don't have time to get into that. And we can follow up in the forums, which again, the links are in the video notes below today's video. Thank you to David Graham for the multiple super chats today. My Lapin Silvarage, thank you for your super chat, as well as Mark Gaines and our good friend Buster out in Scotland. Thank you as always, Buster. And thank you, Mitch.
Yeah. I'll be back, as Arnold says.
I'll be back.
Yes.
Until next time.
Bye for now.